Imagine the ultimate historical showdown. In one corner, the disciplined road-paving, shield wall-building machine of the Roman legion. In the other corner, the fierce, honor-bound, masterful warriors of feudal Japan, the samurai. What if the Roman Empire didn't stop at the borders of the known world? What if a heavily armed, highly trained Roman expeditionary force marched so far east they traded sand and olives for mountains and cherry blossoms? Forget everything you know about standard history, because today we are tearing up the map. This is Rome versus Japan. Stick around because the military, political, and frankly hilarious culture clash you are about to witness is going to completely change how you look at ancient warfare. So, how exactly does a Roman legion end up in the land of the rising sun? Let us set the stage. The year is around the 2nd century. The Roman Empire is at its absolute peak. Emperor Trajan just conquered Parthia, but instead of packing up and heading home for a triumph, he looks at a map, points further east, and says, "Keep walking." Our theoretical legion, let us call them the Legio Ex Orientalis, marches through the Silk Road. They survive the deserts, negotiate their way through ancient China, and eventually they decide to charter a massive fleet to explore the mysterious islands off the coast. A massive typhoon hits, because of course it does, and our boys in red tunics are washed ashore on the southern island of Kyushu. They step off their wrecked ships, seasick, covered in sand, and thoroughly confused. They are completely cut off from Rome. No supply lines, no reinforcements, and worse, no Mediterranean wine. Just thousands of heavily armored, highly disciplined soldiers standing on a beach, holding their rectangular shields, wondering why the local trees look so fluffy. It does not take long for the locals to notice the giant metal-clad tourists. A local daimyo sends a scouting party of samurai to investigate. And this is where the greatest misunderstanding in military history begins. The Romans are used to fighting barbarians who charge at them, screaming. The samurai, on the other hand, operate on strict codes of honor. Imagine the scene. A lone, magnificent samurai steps forward. He is wearing intricate, colorful armor. He strikes a dramatic pose, clears his throat, and begins to shout his glorious family lineage, his past victories, and his honorable intentions to duel the Roman commander. The Roman centurion, who speaks absolutely zero Japanese and has exactly zero patience, just stares at him. The centurion turns to his second-in-command, shrugs, and simply orders a single javelin, a pilum, to be thrown. Thwack! The samurai dodges it, completely offended by this lack of manners, while the Romans are just wondering why the enemy soldier was yelling a podcast intro at them. The Romans immediately start doing what Romans do best, building things. Within 3 days, they have chopped down half a bamboo forest and constructed a perfectly symmetrical, fortified military camp. The local Japanese lords are absolutely baffled. Who are these strange men with massive red doors strapped to their arms, and why are they so obsessed with straight lines? Eventually, diplomacy fails. Mostly because neither side can understand a single word the other is saying, and the Romans keep trying to tax the local rice farmers. The daimyo gathers his forces. It is time for a battle. And tactically speaking, this is where things get incredibly fascinating. The samurai army relies on the yumi, a massive asymmetrical bow followed by swift cavalry charges and devastating melee combat with spears and swords. They launch a rain of arrows at the Roman lines. But the Romans just smile. The centurion blows his whistle, and instantly the Roman soldiers lock their massive wooden shields together, forming the legendary Testudo, or tortoise formation. The Japanese arrows, which are designed to pierce bamboo and leather armor, bounce off the Roman shield roof like rain on a tin roof. Frustrated, the samurai charge into close combat. This is the moment of truth. The katana versus the gladius. The samurai wields his blade with wide, powerful, sweeping strikes requiring space and momentum. But the Romans do not give them space. They fight shoulder to shoulder, locked behind a solid wall of wood and iron. When a samurai raises his sword to strike, the Roman simply steps forward and delivers a short, quick, incredibly precise thrust with his short sword. The samurai's intricate armor is beautiful, but it was not designed to stop a targeted, close-quarter stabbing from a dense infantry block. For the samurai, this is entirely frustrating. It is like trying to fight a heavily armored brick wall that occasionally stabs you. The Romans hold the line, perfectly disciplined. But the Romans have a problem too. They are completely outmatched in mobility. The Japanese cavalry runs circles around the heavy Roman infantry, teasing them, striking their flanks, and retreating into the forests. After a few inconclusive skirmishes, both sides realize that completely destroying the other is going to be far too much work. And here is where the Roman genius for politics kicks in. Rome did not conquer the Mediterranean just by fighting. They conquered it by making friends with the right people and crushing the rest. The Roman commander manages to open a dialogue with a rival daimyo, using a lot of hand gestures, drawings in the dirt, and offering some shiny Roman coins. They strike a deal. The Romans offer their unmatched engineering skills in exchange for food, supplies, and land. Suddenly, Japanese castles start looking a little different. The Romans introduce Roman concrete to Japan. They build an aqueduct to supply a mountaintop fortress with fresh water. The samurai are absolutely mind-blown by underfloor heating systems. In return, the Romans are introduced to the katana. A few pragmatic centurions actually ditch their heavy Roman swords for the incredibly sharp Japanese blades, creating the most terrifying hybrid warriors history has ever seen. And then there is the food. The Romans, desperate for fish sauce, try to ferment local seafood, accidentally creating a bizarre new variation of sushi. Meanwhile, the hardened Roman veterans, used to drinking heavy wine, are suddenly sitting in peaceful gardens, furiously whisking matcha tea, pretending they understand the profound philosophy of Zen. But peace is bad for our story. And the Supreme Shogun is not happy about these foreign builders setting up permanent concrete shops in his territory. He unites the major clans to push the Romans back into the sea. This leads to the ultimate hypothetical clash, the Battle of the Bamboo Forest. The Shogun brings thousands of seasoned warriors. The Romans have their allied samurai clan and their unbreakable infantry formations. But the Shogun is smart. He knows he cannot break the Roman shield wall on an open field. So he forces the Romans to march through a dense, uneven bamboo forest. The rigid Roman formations start to break down. You cannot form a perfect square when there are giant bamboo stalks in the way. The terrain is muddy, steep, and chaotic. This is exactly where the samurai excel. The individual skill, agility, and speed of the samurai start to overpower the Romans, who are slipping in the mud, complaining loudly about the humidity and finding their heavy shields getting stuck between the trees. The Roman commander realizes they are being outmaneuvered. He makes a brilliant tactical pivot. He orders his men to break the rigid lines and fight in smaller, flexible maniples. The Roman allied samurai clash with the shogun's samurai. It is absolute chaos. Roman javelins fly through the bamboo. Katanas clash against iron helmets. It is a tactical stalemate of epic proportions. The unbreakable shield meets the unstoppable blade. In the end, neither side can secure a total victory. The shogun realizes that these Roman warriors are too stubborn to die, and the Romans realize that conquering Japan without a supply line of olive oil and reinforcements is impossible. A historic treaty is signed. The Romans are granted a permanent province on the coast. Over the generations, the cultures completely merge. Imagine a timeline where samurai wear crests of the Roman eagle on their helmets, and Roman senators in Kyoto debate philosophy while wearing silk robes and carrying dual blades. History is written by the victors, but alternate history is written by the imagination. The disciplined engineering of Rome, combined with the martial perfection of feudal Japan, would have created an empire unlike anything the world has ever seen. An empire built on concrete, bound by honor, and defended by the most unusual army to ever march the earth. Thank you for exploring this wild historical detour with me. If you enjoyed watching a Roman stick figure try to figure out chopsticks, or a samurai trying to understand a Roman aqueduct, make sure to engage with the video. Let me know in the comments, who do you think would actually win in a one-on-one duel? Until next time, keep questioning history.